Hello class, today what we're going to talk about are the real nth roots of a number. Alright. Now when it talks about the nth roots of a number, this is like taking the square roots of a number, only instead of being square root, it could be cube root or the fourth root or something like that. Alright, so the way this works, since 2 cubed is 8, the cubed root of 8 is 2. Alright, so here n is 3. Alright. 16 squared equals 256, so the square root of 256 is 16. So again, the n would be 2. Now, we really don't need the square here because this is one of the few times where if a number is not shown, it's assumed to be something other than 1. With radicals, if the number is not shown, the number is assumed to be a 2. Right? Well, it doesn't have to be 2 or 3. Here, 3 to the 4th is 81, so the 4th root of 81 equals 3. Right? And you can have 5th roots and 6th roots and 7th roots. It doesn't really matter. Right? But that's the way it works. It's the opposite of raising something to an exponent. And it undoes that exponent. Now, there are some properties of nth roots that we do want to look at. All right? So if n is an integer, and n is greater than 1, and a is a real number. Then, if n is even and a is less than 0, there will be no nth roots. Okay, so that would be like this right here, the 4th root of negative 16. This is just like trying to take the square root of a number, of a negative number, and it doesn't work. That's where we get the imaginaries from, right? And this is going to be imaginary. It's going to be things like that. Now, if a equals 0, the 6th root of 0 is 0. The only thing you multiply together is 0 is 0. So that's it. It doesn't matter if it's 6th, 8th, 10th. Doesn't matter if the 6th root, any root of 0 is 0. All right. The 4th root of 16 is if a is positive. If a is positive, you're going to get two answers. You're going to get a positive and a negative root. Right? So this is just like taking the square root of a number. You always get a positive or a negative square root. Well, it doesn't just have to be square root. It could be the 4th root, the 6th root, the 8th root. It doesn't matter. As long as n is even, you're going to get a positive or negative answer. You're going to get them both, plus or minus that. If n is odd, though, if n is odd, you can take the root of a negative number. And there'll be one answer. The cube root of negative 27 is negative 3. All right. So if n is odd, we don't end up with this no real answer thing. We come up with a real solution. All right. The 5th root, if n is odd and a is 0, it's going to equal 0. It doesn't matter if it's the 5th, 6th, 7th. It doesn't matter. All right. Any root of 0 is 0. Every time. So that's nice. If n is positive, again, you're going to get just one root. The 5th root of 32 is positive 2. Doesn't matter. It's not like when it's even. It's even, the 4th root is positive or negative. The 5th root, just the positive. All right? Or, up here, just the negative. So, odd integers are a little bit nicer. Now, notice I have rewritten all of these like this. The root of a number is the same thing as raising the exponent to a fraction of 1 over whatever this n is. So the 4th root is the same as raising it to the power of 1/4. The cube root is the same as raising it to the power of 1/3. The 5th root is the same as raising it to an exponent of 1 over 5. Okay, 1/5. So sometimes if we're doing stuff in the calculator, we're going to need to know how to convert those because it's, for some calculators, it's a little hard to do with the calculator. But you can do it as an exponent and your calculator will handle it a lot nicer. So there's that. All right, so let's take a look at these. We're going to do a couple examples here. We want the nth root of a. So n is 3, a is negative 213. First thing to look at is n of odd or even. n's odd, so it means no matter what, we're going to get one solution. So it's going to work. So since negative 6 is the cube, negative 6 cubed equals negative 216, then the cube root of negative 216 equals negative 6. Or another way to write this, negative 216 to the 1/3 power is negative 6. So for B, n is 4. Well, n is even, so we may have no solution. So we got to check our A. And we see, okay, A is positive, so okay, we are going to have a real solution. And so 3 to the 4th is 81, but negative 3 to the 4th is also 81. So what we have is a positive and negative solution. It's going to be positive 3 or negative 3. So that takes care of that. But I do want you all to do some examples on your own. So if you would pause the video, come up with the solutions to these. Try to do this without using your calculator. And then come back. Let's see how you did. Okay, so let's see what your answers were. So hopefully this is what you got for your answers. And here's the work for that. So on number 1, we see n is positive, so we could have a no solution there, except n is even. But A is positive, so it's okay. We are going to have a solution, and not only will we have one solution, we're actually going to have two solutions, right? Positive or negative, because 2 to the 4th is 16. Negative to the 4th is also positive 16. That's very positive or negative 2. Over here, we see n is even, so we've got to check our A value. And A is negative, so we're looking at the square root of a negative number, which no real solution. Not happening. And it's one we could actually do. We've done these before. This would, since it's just square root, so this would be 7i. Positive or negative 7i. But no real square roots. Here we have an odd value of n, which means we will get one solution. And so since A is negative, our solution is also going to be negative. So we have negative 125. Here again, we're going to have just one solution because n is an odd number. A is positive, so we're going to get the positive fifth root of 243, which is 3. Alright. And that takes care of the nth roots of a number. I hope this helped you, and I'll see you next time.